What is money? We hold it in our hands every day. We trade our time, our sweat, our lives for it. We see it as numbers on a screen, paper in our wallets. But we are only seeing the shadow on the cave wall. The true nature of money, its ultimate purpose, is not to be a tool for the masses, but a fortress for the few. For centuries, a silent war has been waged, not with tanks and soldiers, but with ledgers and laws. A war for the most profound power a society can possess, the power to create wealth itself. This is not a story of making money. This is the story of how money is made for a select few, a tale of the ultimate alchemy, where paper turns to power and debt becomes dominion. Act 1. The illusion of scarcity. Imagine a world of gold. For millennia, this was the reality. Money was a physical thing, wrested from the earth, finite and heavy. A king's power was measured by the gold in his coffers. His wealth was limited, tangible. He could not simply wish for more. This scarcity was a leash, a constraint that in its own brutal way bound everyone to the same material reality. But then a revolution in thought began, not in a smithy, but in a banker's mind. The great shift came with the rise of fractional reserve banking. Picture a small, smoky room in a medieval city. A goldsmith sits, surrounded by strongboxes filled with the gold of local merchants. He issues paper receipts for that gold, convenient promises that can be traded more easily than heavy coins. Then he notices something extraordinary. The receipts are circulating as money itself. The gold, for the most part, sits untouched. A daring idea forms. What if he could issue more receipts than he has gold? As long as not everyone demands their gold at once, the system holds. He has, in that moment, created money out of thin air. He has discovered the secret. Value is not in the metal, but in the belief, the collective trust, the promise. This was the genesis of the modern financial system. The power to create money slowly shifted from the monarch with his mine to the banker with his ledger. The first central banks emerged. Private institutions granted a monumental public privilege. They could create the national currency not by digging, but by decree. They would loan this money into existence to governments, to other banks, and with every loan, they created a powerful hidden tax, interest, a debt that could only be repaid with more of the very thing they alone could create. The fortress walls began to rise. Act 2. The architecture of exclusion. The system evolved, becoming more sophisticated, more opaque, moving further from the understanding of the ordinary person. The gold standard, once seen as a bastion of stability, was ultimately a cage for this new power. Its abandonment in the 20th century was not a collapse, but a liberation for the architects. Now money was truly, completely fiat, by command. It was an abstraction, a concept, backed by nothing but the full faith and credit of the state and the complex machinery of the financial system. This is where the hidden source of power flows most freely. Today, the primary way new money enters the economy is through bank credit. When a large commercial bank approves a massive loan to a corporation, to a government, or for a billion-dollar merger, it does not hand over a vault of existing cash. It creates new digital money, typing numbers into an account. This new money enters the economy at the top, buying up assets, fueling ventures, expanding empires. The elite are not just paid well, they are the first recipients of new money. They get to spend it before it filters down, before it loses its value, before it causes the inflation that the rest of us experience as a rising cost of living. It is a profound and devastatingly simple mechanism. By the time this new money circulates to the wage earner, its purchasing power has been diluted. It's like being at a banquet where the guests at the head of the table are served a fresh, multi-course meal, while those at the far end receive the leftovers after prices have already risen. The system is designed to create a constant, invisible transfer of wealth from the bottom to the top, from the savers to the debtors, from the many to the few. It is the perfect engine for inequality. And then there are the tax havens, the shell companies, the trust funds woven through multiple jurisdictions. These are not just for hiding wealth, they are for protecting it from the very system of taxation that is supposed to fund the public good. The elite use the global financial infrastructure created by and for their class to ensure their printed wealth remains untouchable, compounding across generations, creating a permanent, inherited aristocracy of capital. Their wealth is not just in yachts and art, it is in political influence, in lobbying for regulations that protect their money creation privileges, in shaping the very rules of the game to ensure they can never lose. Act 3. The tides of change and the weight of legacy. But no fortress is impregnable forever. The cracks are beginning to show. The 2008 financial crisis was a seismic event, a moment when the entire world saw the consequences of a system drunk on its own power, creating impossible levels of debt and risk. The response was not to dismantle the machinery, but to turn it to its maximum setting: quantitative easing. The term sounds sterile, technical, but it is perhaps the purest expression of this power in modern history. Central banks created trillions of dollars, euros, and yen out of nothing, using it to buy financial assets. This flooded the markets, skyrocketing the value of stocks and bonds, assets overwhelmingly owned by the wealthiest 10%. The wealth gap yawned into a chasm. The system, in a moment of crisis, was used to make the rich astronomically richer. And now, a new challenger emerges from the digital frontier: cryptocurrencies. In their idealistic origins, they represented a rebellion against this very architecture, a decentralized system, a money created by code, not by decree. A ledger open for all to see, free from the manipulation of central bankers and commercial banks. It was a declaration that the power to create value should belong to the network, to the people. But look at the landscape now. The same patterns re-emerge. Vast fortunes are made by early adopters and venture capitalists. New forms of exclusion are built. The dream of decentralization is co-opted by the very forces it sought to replace, as financial elites learn to harness this new technology, to tame it, to turn it into just another asset class within their portfolio. The battle for the soul of money continues, but the fortress, it seems, is adaptable. So, what is the conclusion to this centuries-long story? The hidden source of money power is not a conspiracy of a secret cabal, but the logical outcome of a system built on a foundational inequality. The power to create money is the ultimate privilege, and it has been meticulously captured and institutionalized. It is the ability to be the first to drink from a river before you redirect its flow, ensuring you are always quenched while others downstream wonder why the water is scarce and muddy. This is the true cost. It is not just inequality of wealth, but an inequality of destiny. It is a world where the work of millions is systematically devalued by the keystrokes of a few. It erodes the very idea of a commonwealth, of a society built on shared progress. It turns citizens into tenants in an economic system they did not build and cannot control. The legacy of this power is a fractured world where the gilded towers of the elite are built upon the sinking ground of everyone else. The story of money is the story of power, and as long as the power to print wealth remains in the hands of a privileged few, the ancient struggle between the many and the few will continue, fought not on battlefields, but in the silent, sterile, and utterly ruthless world of high finance. The coin has been cast. The question is, who will ever be allowed to pick it up?